Majorka, jakiej nie znacie. Zamiast plaż – winnice. Zamiast kurortów – kamienne miasteczka. Zamiast turystycznego zgiełku – zimowy spokój. Witajcie w Eno Radio. Tym razem zabieramy Was na enoturystyczną podróż po Majorce, poza utartym szlakiem. Po raz kolejny odwiedziliśmy Majorkę zimą, by w pełni docenić jej naturalne bogactwo, puste zatoki i spektakularne trasy wędrowne w górach. Podziwialiśmy pejzaż malowany murkami z kamienia, pasącymi się owcami i urokliwymi rybackimi wioskami, które poza sezonem odzyskują swój spokój. Zima to też świetny czas, żeby odwiedzić tutejsze winnice. I choć enoturystyka na Majorce jest może mniej oczywista niż w Hiszpanii kontynentalnej, to rozwija się niezwykle dynamicznie. Na Majorce uprawia się winorośl na ponad 2000 hektarów. Powierzchnia obejmuje głównie apelacje Binissalem i Pla Levant z licznymi winnicami rozsianymi między górami a morzem. W porównaniu z kontynentalną Hiszpanią to niewielka skala, ale wystarczająca, by produkować ponad 500 marek win, w dużej mierze z lokalnych odmian. Nasza trasa prowadzi przez okolice Binissalem i historyczne miasto, które wita podróżnych pomnikami winiarzy, przypominającymi, że wino jest tu fundamentem kultury. To tutaj działają giganci tutejszego rynku, jak Bodega José Ferrer, najstarsza rodzinna winnica na Majorce, założona w 1931 roku w Binissalem przez José Luis Ferrera Ramoneya, który po studiach we Francji wprowadził nowoczesne techniki, takie jak starzenie w dębowych beczkach i butelkowanie jakościowych win z lokalnych odmian, takich jak Montenegro. Czwarta generacja rodziny kontynuuje tradycję na 130 ekologicznych hektarach w D.O. Binissalem, łącząc historyczne piwnice z innowacyjnymi liniami Veritas i Pedra de Binissalem, oferując oprowadzania po winiarni i degustacje promujące lokalne wina. My jednak skręcamy w stronę tych mniejszych, rodzinnych i rzemieślniczych projektów. Podczas pobytu na Majorce odwiedziliśmy 3 niezwykłe miejsca. Winnicę tradycyjną Casa Padrina, gdzie młode pokolenie winiarzy odważnie skierowało rodzinną historię na nowe tory. Projekt Selva Vins, który stawia na wina naturalne z rodzimych odmian. Oraz winnicę Los dos Caballeros, połączoną z agroturystyką, stworzoną przez obcokrajowców, którzy na Majorce odnaleźli swoje miejsce na ziemi. Zapraszamy Was na spotkanie z winiarzami, którzy pokazują różne oblicza winiarskiej Majorki. Jeśli chcecie odkrywać z nami więcej takich miejsc, zasubskrybujcie kanał Eno Radio na YouTube i zaobserwujcie nasz podcast. Wasze komentarze i oceny to dla nas paliwo do dalszych podróży, więc dajcie znać pod filmem, jak podobała się Wam winiarska Majorka. W tym odcinku przedstawiamy Wam winnicę, w której od 3 pokoleń pielęgnowane są winiarskie tradycje. Casa Padrina w wolnym tłumaczeniu oznacza dom babci. Nazwa nie jest przypadkowa. To właśnie tutaj dziadek obecnych właścicieli wyrabiał swoje domowe wino. Historia tego miejsca nabrała tempa w 1999 roku, kiedy André Sunier, z zawodu nauczyciel biologii, postanowił reaktywować rodzinną tradycję. Dziś stery przejęli jego synowie, André i Guillem. Nie ma tu nadęcia. Jest za to solidna wiedza wyniesiona ze szkoły i szacunek do ziemi. Zobaczyliśmy tutaj niemal 50-letnie krzewy Montenegro i Calette, z których powstaje ich flagowy produkt – wino Cantano.
Well, hello, this is Casa Padrina. and this is a winery that my father started in 2000. The name of the business, Casa Padrina, means the house of your grandmother, because in the house of the grandmother from my father made wine for the people, for the village. Now we are in Sencelles, the village is Sencelles, we are in the middle of the island, and my father always saw me wine there, and he had the fields, and in 2000 he started to plant a little bit more. He was a biology teacher, he liked this world, and started with one wine in 2000. Step by step, he started like a hobby. Step by step, he grew a little, one wine, two wine, three wine, and his hobby now is our job with my brother. We want to continue the tradition of the family. First, here they are only for the people, for the village, but then my father continued with this, and now we have 16 hectares of vineyards. We produce 40,000 bottles per year, and we want to continue with this project. The first change that we do it was put all the vineyards on ecological, and our idea is continue with the line of wines of my father do it always, and now we put a new brand focused in grapes from here, from Mallorca. Now we do, the name of the new brand is Cantano, and the Cantano is the name of the family. Is the name of the family where he started all. And now we are focusing in these varieties, Montenegro and Cayet, 100%. And this is a little bit our project now.
My name is Guillem, and I'm the winemaker. When my father started in Mallorca, the fashion was plant international varieties like Cabernet, like Syrah, like Merlot. But nowadays, the youngest winemakers, we try to use the local varieties like Cayet, Montenegro, Prensal Blanc, Gorgollasa, Giro Ros. There are in Mallorca there are a lot of autochthon varieties. And when my brother speaks the new project, we think only in the local varieties. We have 100% Cayet, 100% Montenegro.
We want to make a little bit more importance to the varieties from here, because if we don't do it, Mallorcan people, anybody do it. If you want to try Montenegro, one Cayet, you only can find here, and we want to put these varieties. The people know it around the world if it's possible, because there are our varieties and we think they are good varieties.
And for example, here in the last year we have Cabernet, but in 2026, the next year, we put more local varieties. And we have another fields in the another parts of Sencelles.
We have 6 different fields, and it's all around this area. And we have mix. We have old vineyards from 35 years and new ones that we planted our.
Cai Vermell is the typical terroir here in this part of the island. It's a terroir that we have a lot of iron and produce in the wines produce more, how do you say, with more bouquet. Now it's in winter here in Mallorca, and the first job is pruning. Okay, we're pruning all the fields. We in our winery here in Casa Padrina pruning by hand, and it's the Cordon Royat, the international system here. But here in Mallorca, there are one very typical system. It's Ull Miretai. You select the eye. That the eye looks the good. Yes, and do in the future do serpentine. We only use copper and sulfur, And we have a new illness that I think so it's only here in Mallorca because in the mainland don't exist yet, called Empoasca. Empoasca is a green fly and attack to the leaves. And we need to put another ecological product called piratrinas, and that's it. In the soil in the winter, we don't pass the tractor because we think it's important. All the humidity grow up in the terroir. Then maybe in 1 month pass the tractor, and all the fields in spring are without grass. And well, in the time of harvest, all the harvest is by hand. We are more or less 15 people, young people from Sencelles, our village, that help us, and we transport the grapes by tractor and by boxes to the winery. We need irrigation because the summer is very, very hot in Mallorca. We have high temperatures, and maybe in the spring to finally summer, there are some days we rain, but maybe don't rain, and we need to support a little bit of water, more or less in the young vineyards than the old vineyards.
If don't rain in spring, the time to arrive to the summer is too long. And now the weather is changing, and we need help if we need it with water. When I was born, here we harvest in middle of September, and now we started in middle of August. It's in 35 years.
If you harvest the same time that our father or our grandparents harvest, we have very high, very high alcohol in the wines. And nowadays, the wines that the people search or want are wines with less alcohol and more easy to drink. Well, here it's the elaborate room. We have all the tanks, and here do all the fermentations. And we need more space, but my father started like a hobby, but nowadays not a hobby, but step by step. Here we have the white, okay, and rosé. The red wines are in the barrels. This year, very good. I think so. It's a good year because, well, when we started maybe in June, we have lot hot temperatures, and the maduration was good. And then in July and August, in 1st of August, starting the hot temperatures, and we need to cut the grapes quickly. And when we start, don't stop, and recollect all in middle of August, start of September, and was a good year. We have wines that use yeast and wines that don't use yeast, but I like work with minimum sulfur. Wine and rosé, we do the alcoholic fermentation more or less 15-16 degrees, and the reds more or less 20 degrees, 20-21 degrees, yes. And the white wine and the rosé don't do the malolactic fermentation because we search the major natural acidity in our wines, and here in Mallorca don't have a lot of acidity. And in the red wines do the malolactic fermentation.
And now this is full and untidy because this week we put the labels with this machine to our line Cantano, and we put the wax with this machine. This line, there are less bottles. For example, from Cantano we do Cantano Cayet and Cantano Montenegro, and there are 2,000 per each, 4,000 bottles with the line of Cantano. And then we have a new line that the name is Solc. There are only 600 bottles. Then for the line of wines of my father, there are more bottles, and we use another machine. The other line, always there are blends from International and varieties, and here there are only focus in wine grapes from Mallorcan varieties. And the elaboration changed a little. Here we use less sulfites, less filtered, is a little bit more another line. But without this product, this is the line of wine of my father, do it always. This is a mix of Merlot and Montenegro. The rosé the same, Merlot and Montenegro. Mollet is Prensal Blanc, Giro Ros and Chardonnay. And this is Montenegro with a little bit Merlot, Cabernet and Shiraz. Without this line, we can do this line. This is the main part of the winery. Mm-hmm. Cantano Cayet, Solc, and another Cantano Montenegro that is not labeled yet. This is a project that never happens in Mallorca, that 5 wineries make a wine from the same vineyard. This vineyard is a vineyard that stayed in Santa Maria. The name is Pla de Buc, and history is the mother of the Montenegro. It's a very good place for the Montenegro. And for make more importance to this place and to this variety and to this vineyard, 5 wineries from Mallorca make a wine of this place. And this is new, we never do it, and we do it for making importance to the variety, to the origin, and to the place. And in summer, these 5 wineries have 1,000 kilos of this Montenegro, and everyone elaborates how we want. And this is our wine, Solc, and it's Montenegro 100%. And there are 4 wineries that they are Quatre Kilos, Mesquí de Mora, Prat de Socarral, and Can Verdura. There are 4 wineries more that do it his Pla de Buc, this place, and elaborate for make a little bit more important to the place, to the origin, because without people that producers, I don't know the word, agricultors, without agricultors, here in Mallorca there are all chalets or fincas or new builds, and we want to conserve the tradition of the place and we make this project name.
We are in the nomination of origin Binissalem, in this part of region of Mallorca, and in medium of September in Binissalem, it's more or less 7 kilometers than here. We are the Harvest Fest, more or less.
In March, there are the Wine Week, is from the Ovini Salem, that in all the week there are events in the wineries that you can do things. There depends, the winery organize one event, and then of the Vida la Terra is the IGP. You can do there are the Rain Wine Fest. This is a festival in Palma that this year there are past 25,000 people, a lot of people. This with music, DJs. I think this year there are more than 50 wineries, and this is another. See, the last years there are more events from the wine because we want to. It's necessary to do it, and I think we go to the good way. Here in Mallorca, the tourism have a lot of people and comes here, and is for this thing the most of part of our wine. We sell here, but I think Mallorca the last years have a little bit more. The people knows a little bit more, and they are interested to how do the wine here and in our varieties. There are many different wineries, and the people, and there are many different types of people. And I think if you are in the market and you work with your varieties and you have a philosophy and you have a history behind the winery, it's better that you arrive here, you are a foreigner, and you plant, I don't know why, I don't know the variety that you want, and then you want to sell. If you have in a history, you love the Mallorca, and you have something behind only a business, I think is a little bit better.
Well, the youngest wineries here in Mallorca, more or less, it's from North European people that he like it this world and buy his fields and start his new business here in Mallorca. Yes, I like it that, for example, how do you say, support this kind of product, the wine, because it's important. And if there are more different wines and more wineries here in Mallorca, I don't think so. It's done good for us because we have more history. We can speak that for example, our grandparents has his fields, and nowadays with my brother continue the familiar tradition, and I think so it's different roads.
But if these people do it with love and do it with passion, or on, for example, don't broke the environment and do it well, and I think it's okay, because for us it's a good. If there are many people, then Mallorca outside have more. I don't know, more. The people knows more, but is this if you do it well or do it if the people bet for the quality, for our varieties, and I think is better than, but everybody have his opinion, and I respect all.
We try the white wine. It's called Mollet, okay? It's a blend with Giro Ros, autochthone variety, Prensal Blanc, another autochthone variety, and with Chardonnay. And well, now we try the 25, the last vintage, and we put in bottle more or less medium of January and put in the market this wine. This wine we elaborate the three varieties per separate because they have different madurations, and when finished alcoholic fermentations, meats, and don't pass in barrel, only in tanks. It's a young wine, frugal, and easy to drink and fresh in summer. Prensal Blanc is very, how do you say, it's very neutral variety. Have less acidity, less aroma, less alcohol. The Chardonnay and the Giro Ros are the opposite. More aroma, more body, more alcohol, more acidity. And this wine is very equilibrated because we have the three varieties, and the three varieties, one support more than one thing.
Chorizo.
No.
No chorizo.
Chorizo in Spain.
In Spain.
Here in Mallorca, this is Llonganissa. Llonganissa is like a sobrasada, but more thin. Is pork meat too. It's like a pasta of pork meat with spices. You have to cook and a little, and you have to cut the bread. Open this. With here or with the fingers, what you want. It's like, and you have very typical Mallorcan.
And in winter, in the village, the people kill the pig and do these kinds of products. And it's a party.
And the tradition.
Very traditional, yeah. And kind of. You can see don't have a lot of color in our local varieties. Montenegro and Cayet are very similar to the color. We have another varieties from Mallorca that have more color. For example, Fogoneu Mallorquin. Fogoneu Mallorquin is very, very dark, but I think so it's the unique. The other ones are very light. Mm-hmm. And here we have 11.5 degrees of alcohol, and the Cayet it's more fruital than Manzonegro. Manzonegro are more mineral, and this wine it's 8 months in barrel, but big barrels, the 500 liters from French oak. Second-hand barrels, because our autochthone varieties are more oxidized because have less anthocyans, and if you use new barrels, the wood eats the wine, and we in Casa Padrina in our winery we think that the old barrels are more good from our varieties.
So it's Montenegro now.
Exactly. You can see very similar the color. Mm-hmm. And when the difference from Cayet it's more fruital, more aromas. Manzonegro it's more how do you say, more equilibrated and more,
Little bit more volume.
yes, volume in the mouth, and have less acidity than the Cayet, but have more graduation. This one is 13, and Cayet 11.5. Yeah, in the elaboration here, it's a semi-carbonic, more or less, because we separate the wrapper, ¿cómo en inglés?
Stamp.
Yes, we separate the grape to the stem, and we fermenting the grape.
The whole grape.
Yes, and start the alcoholic fermentation. And with this system, we search more fruit in the wines. And then we put in the press with don't a lot of pressure, low pressure, and then put in the barrels. 8 months, the same. Most wine that we are in barrels, it's 12 months. Yeah, because we are a smaller winery, familiar winery, and need to sell the product. And we have less stock. And we need to put in the market the wines. But, well, now it's perfect to drink. Now the white wines and the rosé, the 25, put in the market beginnings of 26. And the red wines, it's now we are putting in the market the 24th.
If the people wants to visit, there are my number in Google, and call me one day before, please, and we can make a visit, and I show our winery, our wines, and we make Mallorcan. More or less snack, for you understand me.
Thank you very much. It was really a pleasure to visit you.
Thank you for coming.
Dom babci w Senceles, czyli winnica Casa Padrina, to bardzo przytulne miejsce, a gościnność André i Guillema sprawiła, że trudno nam było się pożegnać. Ruszamy jednak w dalszą drogę, by poznać również inne oblicza winiarskiej Majorki. W kolejnym odcinku odwiedzimy winiarnię Selva Vins, unikalny projekt Carlosa Rodrigueza, który w pełni postawił na wina naturalne, w dodatku ograniczając się do lokalnych majorkańskich odmian. Pozostańcie więc z nami i zasubskrybujcie Eno Radio, by nie przegapić kolejnego odcinka.